The Alien movie contains mysteries that we explore in the videos. What the mysteries are and why they are in the movie is due to the background and production of the Alien movie. The movie's script changed several times before the movie was produced and during production. In addition, scenes were added and changed to the movie during production. Not all of these changes are noted in the scripts. Over the years following the release of Alien, fans often speculated about the mysterious Cocoon Scene, which was absent from the theatrical cut. Its content was widely debated and surrounded by mystery. In 2003, a director's cut of Alien was released. What made this version unusual was that it wasn't simply the original film with a few deleted scenes added back in. It was a re-edited cut. The runtime was roughly the same as the theatrical version, in fact, about a minute shorter. The director's cut included several new scenes not shown in theaters, and the cocoon sequence was among them. Though still trimmed, this version finally revealed to audiences the last stage of the alien's life cycle before it began the process anew. In the film, the scene begins after Ripley has activated the self-destruct system and left the engine cubicle room. The next shot shows her descending a ladder. This introduction feels somewhat odd and illogical, as the movie gives no explanation for why Ripley suddenly climbs down the ladder. The screenplay, however, reveals a different and much more logical beginning. The scene originally starts after Ripley discovers Parker and Lambert dead. She runs toward the engine room but becomes winded and slows down. At that moment, Ripley hears a strange noise in the corridor and stops. The sound is coming from below. She opens a hatch in the passageway and climbs down the ladder beneath it, descending to E deck of the Nostromo. From that point onward, the sequence continues in both the screenplay and the movie in essentially the same way. On E deck, Ripley discovers the alien's lair, a place where the creature has gathered its victims and covered the ship's structure in a resin-like substance. There, she finds Dallas, who is in the horrific process of being transformed into an alien egg, identical to the ones the crew had previously found on the derelict ship. Still alive, Dallas begs Ripley to kill him. Ripley also comes across another egg, further developed, which has developed from Brett's body. In the deleted material and original script, Ripley explains that she intends to save Dallas, but he insists she end his suffering.
I'll get you out of here. I'll get you up to the shuttle. What can I do?
Ultimately, Ripley uses the flamethrower to burn both Dallas and Brett, now turning into eggs, before returning to C deck. The scene's idea is taken directly from Dan O'Bannon's original screenplay and is crucial for completing the alien's life cycle. The idea is that the alien collects its victims as raw material for creating new eggs. After the egg-morphing phase, the alien's life cycle begins again once fresh hosts arrive to serve the facehuggers. In addition to expanding on the alien's life cycle, the scene also plays a crucial role in portraying Ripley's emotional development and her progression toward decisive action. It marks the moment when Ripley fully commits to destroying the Nostromo. The emotional weight of the scene stems from the fact that Ripley is forced to kill her crewmates. In the original version of the Alien story, Ripley and Dallas were depicted as having a romantic relationship. As a result, Ripley's emotions in the scene would have been even more intense. The execution of the scene in the film is weak in several ways. In the film, the scene fails to clearly show the audience what is actually happening. In essence, the alien's victim is transformed alive into an alien egg. How this process truly works is never explained in any source. What is crucial, however, is the victim's suffering and helplessness in the moment. In addition, the film features Brett inside the very first version of the alien egg created for the production, a design quite different from the one Kane examines in the egg chamber. The initial concept for the alien egg had a single, slit-like opening. However, because the design too closely resembled female genitalia, it was redesigned to open in 4 parts, as seen in the final film. Several single-slit eggs had already been built before the redesign, so they were still used in the movie, though they are mostly visible only in production photos and promotional materials. Because the single-slit egg used in the cocoon scene differs from the ones Kane investigates in the egg chamber, viewers might not immediately recognize Brett as being part of the same egg-morphing process associated with the earlier alien eggs. In the screenplay drafts, Dallas is also inside an egg, slowly dissolving, and Ripley sees him through its translucent shell. Ideally, the scene should have been staged more like the egg chamber sequence aboard the derelict. Ripley discovers 2 eggs of different sizes on the floor and begins to examine them. She notices movement inside the larger, shrinking egg. Through the translucent surface, she recognizes Dallas, who appears to be dissolving within it. His eyes open, and he tries to say something. Eventually, Ripley realizes what he's asking her to do. The smaller egg is nearly identical to the one seen aboard the derelict ship. Inside it, Ripley can make out what appears to be part of Brett's body. The cocoon scene is vital for revealing the fate of Brett and Dallas. The alien took both men, and without this scene, their ends would remain a mystery. According to earlier drafts, the cocoon sequence was also meant to explain Lambert's fate, a detail revealed later. 2 other deleted scenes were originally intended to help set up cocoon sequence. These came from the 1976 script, and when adapted into the film's story, they would have played out as follows. In the first scene, the crew discovers a mural inside the derelict ship depicting the alien's life cycle. In the second deleted scene, after Kane's death, the crew analyzes the mural and deduces that in the next stage of the life cycle, new alien eggs are somehow created, but they don't know exactly how. This material would have been crucial in laying the groundwork for the cocoon sequence. It would have prepared the audience to recognize and understand what they were seeing when Ripley later discovers Dallas and Brett in the midst of the egg-morphing process. Both scenes came very close to being realized. H.R. Giger had already painted the mural specifically for shooting, and Ridley Scott even shot successful test footage of the sequence. Ultimately, however, the mural discovery was cut because Scott feared it revealed too much of the film's mystery too early. Once the mural was removed, the follow-up analysis scene was also dropped. This is a good example of how much a film can lose in substance when it is cut too heavily. Continuity breaks and illogical plot holes appear. For example, if the hieroglyph interpretation scene had been included in the film, the cocoon sequence would have worked far more effectively. Ridley Scott considered the cocoon scene important, particularly for its emotional impact. However, he was ultimately not satisfied with how it turned out. The main issue, in Scott's view, was the way the scene affected the film's pacing. It slowed down and even halted the intense momentum the story had built up. For that reason, the cocoon scene was ultimately left out of the theatrical release. In 1986, James Cameron introduced the Alien Queen, a concept of his own creation, which went on to become the dominant interpretation of the creature's life cycle. With this shift, the original final stage of the alien's life cycle was effectively forgotten within the franchise. If the cocoon scene had been included in the original theatrical release, the Alien franchise might have evolved quite differently from what it is today. The cocoon scene contains several important details. For instance, in one draft of the script, Dallas reveals Lambert's fate during the sequence. Based on this earlier version, Sigourney Weaver's screen test for the cocoon scene included Dallas telling Ripley that the alien had eaten Lambert.
Brett, it ate Lambert.
The cocoon sequence also holds significance for later Alien films because of the resin-like substance the creature uses to cover its lair. However, James Cameron blurred this distinction in Aliens by mixing the design of the derelict ship's interior from the first film with the resin structures created by the alien. Many Alien fans believe that the cocoon/egg-morphing stage should have been the true life cycle of the creature, rather than Cameron's alien queen. The reasoning is simple. Transforming the alien's victims into eggs would have been far more disturbing and unique, while the insect-inspired queen offers a comparatively straightforward explanation for the life cycle. Here's an interesting detail to wrap up this video. A sharp-eyed viewer may notice that in the Cocoon Scene, Brett's head does not show the wound created by the alien's inner jaw. The reason for this is simple. Brett's death scene was originally filmed on September 6 to 7, 1978, prior to the cocoon sequence, which was shot on September 11, 1978. In its original version, the scene did not feature the alien piercing Brett's skull with its inner jaw. Instead, the creature crushed his head and carried him up into the ceiling structures of the claw room. Later, on December 6, 1978, Brett's death scene was reshot, this time altered so that the alien impales his head with its inner jaw. The very next day, on December 7th, the same head-piercing effect was filmed again, this time for the character Parker. Thus, at the time the cocoon sequence was filmed, Brett's cause of death had not yet been changed, and his head not been pierced. Share in the comments whether you prefer the original cocoon/egg-morphing concept in the Alien life cycle and how you imagine the franchise might have evolved if egg-morphing had remained in the original theatrical release. And don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already.
You